Welcome and good morning from Germany. Good afternoon to Bangkok and Southeast Asia. My name is Mark. I will introduce myself a little bit later. Welcome to our Road to Beyond Mobile. We are having a series of webinars since last year on our topic of 5G and the impact of on businesses across the world. We are doing this webinar series because we will have a show upcoming in September in Bangkok. Let us kick in now. Today we have an extremely important topic, 5G and cybersecurity. I will introduce you my esteemed guest later. So, So my name is Mark. Sorry for that little hassle. I'm your moderator today. I'm the strategic advisor for the show Beyond Mobile. And in my normal life, I'm doing mobile strategy consulting. The show itself will be in September in Bangkok in Samya Mitton Hall. It's called Beyond Mobile because we are having the theme of 5G and how it impacts machines. You know probably better than me that the 5G network is built for machines and sensors primarily and not for people. And that's the major topic of the show. So unlocking the potential of the IoT era. And with that, of course, comes lots of cybersecurity issues. We will cover this topic today. Our main sponsor and premium partner for the show and the webinar series is Nokia. We also have on board the British Embassy in Bangkok, as well as Rode and Schwarz from Germany and True 5G. And I'm really proud to also announce that we have RV Connect as our knowledge partner on cybersecurity. And RV Connect is also a partner today in this webinar and participating with two members of the team. As I said, this whole thing is kind of road to the show in September. We did webinars on specific themes in the context of 5G, so 5G and health, 5G and smart cities, mobility, smart factories. And today, now, June 2nd, we are dealing with cybersecurity, and we will have another webinar, the final webinar before our event in Bangkok on agriculture. We also have a series of physically happening, we call them Beyond Thursdays. You see them on the bottom of the chart. These are physical meetups in Bangkok for the kind of ecosystem of 5G movers and shakers. So if you're interested to join us there, just connect with the team and you get an invite. The next one will be also this month. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my first guest of this morning here in Germany, this afternoon in Bangkok, is Narinrit. He is a cybersecurity advisor, so he's really well positioned to give us a 10 minutes intro into the whole topic. He was kind of first ethical hacker for IBM some several years ago, so a white hat guy. He also acted as chief security officer at Thailand's largest energy corporation, PTT Group. So a man who really knows what he talks about in terms of cybersecurity. Narinrit, this show is yours for the next 10 minutes.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you, Mark. My privilege to be speaking in this event. And very first and foremost, I would like to show my presentation. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, hold on. All right, I hope my...
Yes, all good.
All right,
all good.
Okay,
yeah.
All good. So for my presentation, I do not have like a lot of technical information or so much in detail about the security, but I would like just to show you some topic, issue, and concern as the overall picture when we talk about the 5G, because 5G itself, essentially, people are thinking about the more on the telecommunication infrastructure or such, right? But beyond that, okay, there are a lot of things, right? It enables number of things and number of issue and concern that we should take into consideration. So for myself, I have experience on cybersecurity since 1999, back 20 something years, ranging from the ethical hackings to the implementation of a number of security technologies for corporations, and provide advisory and consultancies for both private and public organizations, and have a chance to participate in contribution to the national strategy, which part of that is the security strategy. And part of the national security strategy, of course, there are certain area that state the cybersecurity issue as well within that national strategy. So there are a number of things to be explored. So I would like to categorize the things that I would like to share with you in different aspects. The first one is on the infrastructure itself, because 5G is like an evolution, right? That everyone know we have, like, from the 2G, 3G, 4G, and now we are moving toward the 5G. So there are many interesting issues, right? And now we focus on the security issues. The security issues, normally when we talk about 5G, most of the people are thinking, okay, we have the speed, and most of the focus, most of the conversation, we have the speed of the communications that is faster than before, something like that. So we start thinking of some more of the use case of the real-time applications to implement this and that, right? But in terms of the infrastructure itself, that can provide the kind of like speed plus security plus, okay, comparing to those days when we have on the 3G and 4G stuff. But by having that security plus, which means like more security in terms of infrastructure, right? I focus, okay, put the spotlight down to the infrastructure itself first. On the infrastructure itself, there are quite number of issues as well, right? Some issues has been solved on the 5G, right? Like mutual authentications, like some other things, right? That being compromised or being the vulnerable in the 4G era, right? When we move to 5G, of course, certain set of issues has been solved. But by the way, there are still some unsolvable issues, right? So the issues that haven't been solved in 4G and 3Gs or whatever generation before that still carry up to 5Gs, right? In quite a number of things. So this kind of thing is also happen when we consider the internet, right? When we talk about, okay, we have the TCP/IP, right? We have the version 6, version 4 for the IPv4, IPv6 that we mentioned. So some fundamental issues that cannot be solved, it also cannot be solved even we move to the IPv6 or anything like that. Something that still be the issues, still carries. So let me give you an example. Like when we talk about 5G, we talk about the wireless communication, right? When we talk about wireless communication, we use the radio frequencies. So the radio frequency itself, no matter what kind of frequency you are going to use low frequency, high frequencies, ultra high frequencies, so whatever frequency you are using is the kind of radio frequencies, right? And radio frequencies is have the issues on like those kind of like jamming attack, radio frequency attack kind of stuff, right? So it have the like if you have someone bringing the jammer into the area that you are connecting to the cell site or anything like that, so it can interfere, right? It's have the physically radio interference, right, attacked on that, which can be solved, right? No matter how fast the speed you are, how innovative you are, but this very fundamental is still there, right? And for let's say for another example, like man in the middle attack. I cannot remember precisely. That is like 1 or 2 years before, in the Black Hat conference, there's a guys who demonstrate how he can do the man in the middle attack on the 5G network kind of stuff. So it's something that is there. Even that specific issues can be solved or may already been solved, but no one can assure that in the coming future, maybe next month, maybe next year, that somebody can come up with the new thing or new issue, which always happen in terms of like cybersecurity things, right? No one knows that who is going to come up with the new idea to attack specific infrastructure or specific application. So for the infrastructure aspect, there's something already been solved, and there is something cannot be solved, which is still there. And I already give an example. There are a couple of things more that is still there, and the issue yet to come, which is an unknown issues that we have to prepare about things that have to be coming up in the near future. So this is something that showing the evolutions of the security from the 2G to the 5G, that mostly mentioned about the mutual authentications on the cell sites of the base stations and the mobile subscribers, and the deeper mandatory protection features, which mean like some other security feature that add on into the infrastructure itself. So if we are going to speak in general, when we talk about the security of the 5G infrastructure, obviously that in terms of security, it's much more secure than what we have in the 4G era. So this is the equipment that the guy showed in the Black Hat conference that allow him to do the man in the middle attack, which is to sit in the middle between the legitimate mobile subscriber that the user being used and the base station, which is the legitimate base station. But this guy figure out a way to sit in between the legitimate subscriber at the legitimate base stations. So in order to, when he can do this, right, it means that he can do a lot of things like eavesdropping the conversations, listen to the conversations, and also to be able to spy on whatever communications on that channel. So okay, so that's pretty much in the infrastructure terms. So the next, I would like to explore more on the application and use cases aspect, because when we talk about 5G, when 5G comes, it allowed or enable number of use cases or applications that never been done before. Because when we can bridging the gap of the speed of the telecommunication, so it allow quite a number of things in, when we say real times, now it's even more real than before, right? When we talk about real times in 3G and 4G era, it's not quite, that real, okay, when we compare to the 5G era. And let's say, for example, like autonomous vehicle, that it need the car or the vehicle to communicate with the cloud service, something like that, and it need quite real-time analysis, real-time process, real-time manipulations of the data kind of things. So the speed of the communication is the very key to that because with certain kind of delay, it could mean something, and it could be life or injury in their accident, something like that. That's kind of possible as well. So the next
one more minute, Narinrit. One more minute.
Oh, okay. Time fly, man. Okay. So with 5G, it allows many other things, as mentioned, remote healthcare, smart city, and number of IoT, which open up the risk in terms of like for those maker or the developers of those kind of system that need to put the security in place in order to make sure that we have no problems. And with that, we need legislations and regulatory compliance, okay, more than before, because in the 3G, 4G era, when we talk about legislation or regulation, we always think about those telecommunications commissions related, right, to take action on. But now the 5G, that is not enough. It means that those commissions on different other things like on healthcare and on the manufacturing kind of stuff and many other commissions need to take into consideration that what is really related into their aspect, and they need to take action on, right? So I hope my very brief time here can pictures the ecosystems that need to be thinking of and should be explored by the other speakers. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Narinrit. Yeah, definitely. We will have legislation and regulatory aspects later on in the show. And of course, we also have a panel discussion. Oh, lots of domains here. So maybe people can grab the picture quickly. We also have a panel discussion afterwards. So you are part of this panel discussion. And then finally, a final remark before I go to the next speaker. Whoever has a question can type it into the Q&A. I will take notes and we try to cover those questions in the Q&A session afterwards. Okay, so thank you very much, Narinrit. Next speaker, it's kind of speed dating now, 10 minutes each. Tanajak, come on stage, on my virtual stage. Tanajak is Chief Information Security Officer at RV Connects. So basically he's a guy who never sleeps because he needs to ensure for the company the continuous compliance and prevent breaches, which is a tough job, right? So welcome on stage, 10 minutes for you, and then we go to the next speaker.
Thank you very much, Mark. Okay, please allow me to share the screen very quickly. Okay, hope everyone can see the screen in full. So, okay,
yes, all good. Continue.
Okay,
all good.
Yep, that's great. Thank you. Okay, I will start now. So, my topic today is about the emerging threats from 5G cyberspace. Yep, so let's see. So, hello again, everyone. My name is Tanajak. I'm working in RV Connects company, which is an aerospace and defense industry company in Thailand. I work as a Chief Information Security Officer, and I have had some extensive experience working with the defense and law enforcement organization as their advisor for cybersecurity and intelligence. So, my specialization, detection engineering, digital forensic, network penetration testing, and also open source intelligence. So just a quick evolution, a quick recap on 5G history. So I want to start with the first one, the great grandfather, which is 1G. We went from having a truly pocket device that was used to make and receive calls only. That's 1G. 2G, you can start sending text or SMS, but you can also just like call like 1G, of course. And then comes 3G. Here's the big revolution. Actually, you can start using internet. You can access the internet wherever you are, possible through our cell phone. So 4G is basically the faster version of 3G and also more reliable, and also some of the security issues are fixed. And 4G to 5G, which I will explain in our next slide. So 4G and 5G, here's the difference, So what's the main difference that got everyone excited? First, it's faster, of course. 5G is much more responsive. Because why? Because it has lower latency. Yep. So what is latency? It refers to the time taken for device to network communication. Since device can talk to the network faster, that means you get the data more quickly. And one of my favorite things is that, wow, it uses less power than 4G because it can rapidly switch to low energy mode when you use cellular radios, when you actually don't use the cellular radios, and it will extend the device battery life quite significantly actually. And more connection, 5G can carry more devices than 4G because it expands the available radio waves. So congestion issue that leads to slow service will be significantly reduced once the 5G step in. And lastly, it's more secure and reliable because there are many factors which I will explain why. So in this slide, I will explain the 4G and 5G difference in cybersecurity. Here's the main player, the big gun that makes it different. It's called the network slicing technology. This is where you can actually create a multiple virtual independent logical network over the same physical infrastructure. And this mobile virtual network operator can individually manage and configure each network slice to suit each suitable use case. Let's say for AR and VR usage, you actually need to use ultra high speed with very low latency, same as autonomous vehicle. So you can actually play with it and virtualize it. And also when you segregate the network, what you did is in terms of security is you actually reduce hackers or attacker visibility and also the attack surface. The second one, which is very interesting, is also the physical security part. The main principle here is that 5G uses the inherent randomness of the noise within the communication to restrict the amount of information that an attacker can decipher. Basically, what this means is that it has the potential to be used to protect network user from like passive eavesdropping attack that they can get some information. So that's a no-no for this one. And last one of my favorite is temporary identification. So basically, when user using 5G devices roam between trusted and untrusted network, rather than a user having to share their IMSI number, which is their SIM number, they can use the temporary identity to non-trusted network instead. So this will mitigate the IMSI caching attack, which is really dangerous, and it can be used to do the attribution. Yeah. So main 5G cybersecurity concern. Yep. So first thing is very important. More bandwidth will strengthen current security monitoring. What it means that due to the sheer amount of number of traffic volume and increase in connectivity, the security monitoring providers will be challenged with threat detection in real time or even in near real time. It's very hard. They have to adapt the cybersecurity infrastructure to handle this super large network traffic. So that's a big challenge. The second big challenge is huge. IoT device lacks security. So not all manufacturers are prioritizing cybersecurity. Some of them none at all. We can see this in many low-end smart devices. 5G is mean opportunity, more utility, more potential for IoT. But as more devices are encouraged to connect, billions of devices with low security means billions of possible breach points. Imagine like this: smart TV, door locks, refrigerator, speaker, coffee making machine, air conditioner that connect to the internet. That can be a network weakness. A lack of security standard for IoT device, along with a lack of regulator, along with a lack of compensation for cybersecurity, for the manufacturer who really care about cybersecurity, makes this happen. So there will be a lot of attack surface for the attacker. So third one is eavesdropping. I already mentioned about it, and we have some of the mitigation that will reduce the passive eavesdropping technique. And also last one, very interesting. Don't think of latency as just speed. Latency means security in the future. What I mean is that think of this technology V2X, vehicle to everything. Imagine the self-driving car. Self-driving car, they do V2I communication, vehicle to infrastructure. What do you mean by that? It means vehicle to traffic light. So if the self-driving car see the traffic light go green, it communicate, right? It will go. But if it sees red, it will stop. So when there's latency, the delay in latency, this thing requires like less than 1 millisecond latency in order to work properly. So if there's even delay, it could undermine the safety of the pedestrian walker and also the security of the people inside the car. So that is very dangerous, and please keep in mind. Yeah. So these other attacks, very classic one, yeah, botnet attacks. So if the attacker takes a lot of control a lot of connected device or IoT device, they can actually puppeteer a massive cyber attack. Actually, by sending a lot of network packet in quick succession, they can overload a network or website and render it useless or take it offline. And also we have the novel attack that our first speaker, Narinrit, talking about in 2019, Black Hat attacker managed to play with the paging protocol, and they managed to track the location of the 5G user as well as get some of the IMSI that the user used, which is the SIM number. And what I find is very interesting is that I love this survey. Please look at this. So GSMA, GSM Association, which is the company that represents the interests of the mobile network operator over the world, actually did a survey, a big one. They said, they asked everyone, they asked a service provider, they asked that, what security challenges are you facing or will you face when offering 5G based service? Let's see the top 5, shall we? So first one, not enough knowledge tools to deal with security vulnerability. Global cybersecurity human resource shortage contribute to this one. Second one, confidentiality and privacy threats. Some of the implementation of the 5G will not encrypt the initial connection of the 5G device to the network base station. That means some of the devices, operating system and device type information can be eavesdropped. So that's an issue of privacy because the attacker can do attribution and determine the person behind the devices. So third one, vulnerability related to network virtualization. Virtualization has been with us for a long time and it has been great technology, but there are always vulnerability related to it. Hacker can actually escape from virtualization world into physical world and actually control all the network slices. That has to be tested with security expert who really know the playing with the memory aspect of the program. Yeah. And
one more minute.
Yep. Fourth one, limited pool of security expert. This is classic as well. And fifth one, this is classic, increase in attack surface, because as the world is interconnected, there will be more attack surface. And as I mentioned, not many IoT device manufacturers really care about cybersecurity yet. So how to bolster 5G cybersecurity? We can actually use secure remote access solutions, secure web gateway, or something like SASE offering, or use managed security service provider who use IoT gateway and then secure this device properly. But every device need to be secure, and basic hygiene such as authentication, two-factor, and also default password change is essential. Yep. So this one just not give anyone shock, but Thailand has the most vulnerable ZTE devices. So you can see Thailand champion, which is great. No, I'm joking. And also last one, I want to leave everyone. This is my last slide with this quote from Newton Lee, author of the Counterterrorism and Cybersecurity book. He said, as the world is increasingly interconnected, everyone shares the responsibility of securing cyberspace. Please be careful and take care of your cyberspace, because when you are attacked, that means others are connected and they can be attacked as well. Please be aware and really secure our cyberspace for today and tomorrow better future. So I hope you like my presentation. Thank you very much and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Awesome. So I feel like my own Chief Information Security Officer now. No, but seriously, great presentation, great insights, and we will discuss further in the panel discussion. So next on stage is Henry. Henry represents the UK government cyber engagement across Southeast Asia region. And he is in a constant fight for a free, open, peaceful, and secure cyberspace. Henry, your 10 minutes.
Take two. Now the unmute button's clicked. Thank you so much, Mark. And can I just say how impressive, how much material the last two speakers managed to get through in 10 minutes. I'm not going to use slides today, and I very much hope I don't hear your 1 minute warning as well. But I will actually take it up a bit. First, I represent the British government abroad on cyber policy issues and cover the ASEAN region, which of course includes Thailand. But I come from a very domestic background. I've done a lot of work on what some of the other speakers have been talking about around regulations, standards, and helping build up the UK cyber ecosystem to be that resilient and really support what we want to do in cyberspace in the UK. And as I move forward with my talk today, I just really want to land two very clear points. And hopefully, and I think you'll see they'll interject at a slightly different level to the last speakers who focus very much on the technical side, but you can hopefully begin to see how policy begins to intertwine and where very key, clear messages kind of link together. And my first point I want to land is around the government has a very real role in the development of 5G. We've been hearing about it, but telecoms remains and is becoming increasingly important for governments to invest and protect. And really do recognise kind of huge benefits. Just as telecoms develop, we see economic benefits, we see social benefits, we see cultural benefits. We're able to develop better government services to engage. And I think that's a really kind of key part as we look forward, that 5G will enable greater capability and use by our citizens of Thailand as well, in how they use cyberspace to improve their own welfare. And as such, we've very much recognised just how important a role cyberspace is playing in the UK. And a good way to look at it, I apologise I have no slides today, but I very much recommend that if you have chance to have a look at our new UK National Cyber Strategy that we published last December, that sets out a really ambitious vision of what we see cyberspace to be in our kind of wider community, as a reliable, resilient place for people and businesses to flourish, a renewed focus on how critical and emerging technologies are going to change our world. And telecoms is really like the beating heart behind kind of this expansion of cyberspace. And for us, it's really important to build a secure and reliable network infrastructure to enable this kind of benefit and prosperity. And just like all nations, we need to make sure that our telecoms networks meets the needs of our citizens, and they keep constantly expanding as they see the benefits and huge opportunities that 5G brings, that they're safe, trusted, and resilient, and one that balances between security and capability. I just want to touch on that point because that's a really important thing. Cybersecurity in telecoms is not just, and in cyberspace in general, it's not just an add-on, a bolt-on. It is about creating resilience to ensure that we can really benefit from the products that we are putting out in cyberspace. And it should be done in proportion to the benefits that we are gaining, just like it would be doing in the real world. Like how much security would you put in a bank to would you put on a shack outside of town? And I think that's a really important principle to keep your thinking, particularly when we see the benefits of what's going to happen with 5G. And there's a big role for government to kind of support that prosperity role. In the UK, we've invested hundreds of millions of pounds in test beds and trials to explore new ways that 5G can boost productivity, grow businesses, and spark new ones. And while the previous speakers have talked about all the technical levels of cybersecurity, the real reality is that this is going to boom. The cyberspace is going to expand exponentially as more and more citizens use it for more and more parts of their daily lives. And the real great thing and exciting thing, and which is why I'm really happy to be part of this kind of this conference and webinar series, is that the benefits that 5G is going to bring, we don't 100% know yet. And it's about lots of innovation and companies really understanding how we're going to use it in all these different sectors. And I hope I'll be able to catch some of the wider webinars that BYOND are doing on this. But security and resilience is key. And as a government, we can't ignore it. Citizens and customers will not realize the benefits if they don't trust, if it's not safe and secure, if they think their data is being lost, if they think people are spying on them, and where there would be significant national security risks. Because as I said, 5G is expanding the opportunities and telecoms are becoming more and more intertwined in how we deliver critical national infrastructure and utilities. So in the UK, and this has happened throughout. We've identified telecoms, in particular 5G and 6G, as critical to security. And we set out ensuring the future security of the UK telecoms network is critical to countering state threats to our democracy, to our society and economy. I'm not going to play too long because I understand it's a very wide audience, but I want to flag those two key areas, like where we're really working around supply chain diversification and supporting kind of development of kind of open-ended standards, something we call Open RAN. Developing a kind of a healthy telecom sector supply chain helps us protect against issues caused by international conflict and political kind of things, as well as enabling us to diversify our kind of telecoms kind of capability. I think that's something that you will see as we look to try and make sure there's a wide variety of suppliers that can engage and deliver and encourage competition and innovation in developing 5G infrastructure. But we're also, it's important, and we talked a little about standards, about creating interoperability, investing in open interface telecoms technologies like Open RAN, and working with other countries, because it's a global challenge, to achieve our shared aim for secure and resilient telecoms supply chains. That's my first point. Second point, hopefully a lot faster and a lot quicker. It's not just government who has a role to protect from cyber threats. And one of the big things within the new UK strategy is a whole of society approach. And I'm really glad some of the other speakers have mentioned something around this. It's for government to set regulation and standards to help consumers understand what is a good baseline. It's about helping develop like a flourishing cyber ecosystem that you will all be part of, supporting skills development and ensuring there's a workforce fit for the future in 10, 20 years. It's about creating that innovative cyber sector, creating that innovation, but also making sure it's safe, secure innovation. It's about businesses protecting their assets and customer data to make sure that that is a point, or a unique selling point for that business. Say, we are secure, we will help you and protect you. And it's about everyday citizens putting in place basic hygiene measures. And as 5G becomes more and more part of our everyday lives, the digital footprint is going to increase. We're going to see more smartphones. We're going to see more smart homes, smart watches, and lots of different IoT devices, some of which we just can't even predict now, today. And in the UK, this is going to continue to, in the UK, and we predict to see an increase in the frequency, complexity, and severity of cyber threats. No matter how much cybersecurity we put in, as long as there's potential gains to be made, we will see cyber criminals and actors looking to use malicious activity in cyberspace to make profits and gains. In 2021 alone,
I need to stop you, my friend.
I will then say, okay.
One more important sentence.
I think the last sentence to say is we need to all work together. And that's a really important thing to help build a secure 5G ecosystem, not just government, but industry, civil society, and academia. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your very passionate kind of statements here. And of course, you're completely right. Governments play a certain role here. And I think our next speaker will also tip on this point, because Dr. Sujate, he is VP R&D Innovation at Ivy Connects, and he's also kind of president of the University of Technology in Thailand. And so I think he has something to say on the legal and legislation and law situation in Thailand on that whole topic of 5G and cybersecurity. So Dr. Sujate, your 10 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sujate. My background is in academic, and you may heard all about the security in terms of technical and strategy. This part may be different from the previous speaker. In 5G, technology is going to be the next future of our world, and we need more collaboration, not only in terms of technical to fight with the cybersecurity, but we also need to consider about the legal activity that challenge us today. The major legal system in country around the world follow civil law or common laws, there are only a few countries governed by religious law. You can see in the slide. Common law use past legal precedent or judicial ruling to decide case at hand. Civil law use codified statute or an ordinance govern the country. Thailand is a country that use civil law system. When we talk about cybersecurity, we will involve with criminal law. Criminal law, either in common law or civil law system, is the device by which organized society protect the security of individual interests and ensure the survival of the group. Criminal law define criminal offense, regulate the apprehension, charging, and trial of suspected person, and fix penalties and mode of treatment applicable to convict offender. Criminal offense in conventional crime are done by physically, as you can see in the slide, the extortion, blackmail, the snatching. These all are done in physical. But for cybercrime, offense start when once the computer connect as a wire network, and now mobile phone is also connected to the network. Cybercrime is much different from conventional crime, since the offender and the victim don't need to be physically in the same place. The second generation of mobile phone was a big jump from analog to digital. It provides digitally encrypted phone conversation and data services such as SMS and MMS. This is the beginning of cybercrime offense, such as cheating and fraud had been done using the SMS service. The 3G has voice and data capability for multimedia service support, along with video streaming, web browsing, picture sharing, and email. The 3G had opened to the opportunity for OTT, such as mobile banking on the mobile phone. Offense such as stealing in conventional crime could be happen in cyberspace, but more complex, because the crime don't need to be in physically. Although newer generation of mobile phone have created more OTT service and better security, there are still loopholes in criminal to take advantage of. "5G technology, as Kun Tanajak mentioned before, is able to slide a physical network into multiple virtual networks. Many applications could use 5G to gather data from IoT device without enough security and send it to cloud for further AI processing. The other slice of the network could be used to control autonomous vehicle or running smart factory with low latency. With 5G, machine-to-machine connectivity on mobile network will increase rapidly in the near future, which would then further increase cybercrime, where the cybercrime law need to be adapted because criminal code do not cover the type of crime. Back to Thailand. Before 2007, some of offense crime defined in the Thailand Penal Code could be penalized even though the crime committed via cyberspace, but there are also many cybercrime that not offense to the Penal Code. Thailand needs specific laws concerning any crime related to cyberspace and could be used as instrument to gather evidence to prescribe penalty for those violating the law. The law was called Act on Commission of Offence Relating to Computer 2007. The law is quite similar to UK Computer Misuse Act 1990. The definition of computer in this law includes second generation mobile phone onward. So 3G, 4G, 5G also under control under this law too. The law has two parts. First part concerns any crime harming to computer network or using computer network to commit crimes such as hacking, denial of service attack, phishing, infecting the IT system with malware, wrongfully causing damage, destroy, revise, modify, or add wholly or partly to computer data, sending spam and dispose of or disseminate a program specifically prepared for use in the commission of the offense. And the second part is competence of official. This part also define procedural jurisdiction to gather evidence such as service provider should keep traffic data log for at least 90 days. The qualification, roles, and responsibility for the officer. And when we use computer, when using computer has expanding its use to controlling critical infrastructure, Thailand had a new law called Cybersecurity Act 2019 to manage the list of cyber threats which may threaten national security and public order in the country. The law includes having competent authority responsible for proceeding with the relevant tasks, coordinating between the government and private sector regardless of general situation or the situation which severely threaten security, and establishing operational plan and standard in maintaining cyber security in united and continuous manner. The new 5G machine-to-machine service concern law enforcement very much. The network that connect criminal and victim can be go through many countries, like you can see in the on the slide. The network that connect criminal and victim can be go through many countries, making it hard to collect evidence. Even if the criminal are identified, it will not be easy to bring them to the victim's country to try on in the court. The ongoing academic debate chiefly divide those who believe that state must take more influential roles in formulating international laws on cyberspace, and those who insist that cyberspace should remain a free and diffuse domain. These are quite a conflict. This debate rests on the three major challenges on formulating international law on cyberspace are related to the core of principle and characteristic of international public law, which are jurisdiction, arbitration, and legal instrument and jurisprudence. The subject of laws or actors in cyberspace are widely diverse and diffuse. Those various actors also bear their own different interests and issues on how cyberspace should be regulated. In terms of domain in cyberspace, international actors have not come into agreement on the status of cyberspace, whether it is global common or it belongs to physical state, territory, or based on their national origin. As a result, it creates major challenge to determine jurisdiction of international cyber law until today. Effort to formulate regulation also occur in various situations. Unfortunately, none of those managed to overcome how international law apply effectively to state and address various issues in cyberspace beyond cybercrime and technicality.
Can you come to an end, Dr. Sujate? So one more minute.
Okay, my last presentation. The International Telecommunication Union, or ITU, which is an organization recognized by the United Nations, has a section called Telecommunication Development, or ITUD. One of the objectives of ITUD is to enhance confidence, security in the use of telecommunication and ICT. ITUD provide a guidance to developing a nation's cybersecurity strategy so that every country could protect their cybersecurity and collaborate with other countries while the international law does not exist yet. While you are depending more on OTT in cyberspace to better our quality of living, we should be more concerned about our own cybersecurity to protect ourselves. You may hear the quote of the Roman general, if you want peace, prepare for war. In this case, we should prepare ourselves as if an intruder was to attack to ensure that you are safe in cyberspace. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So excellent. So I think we got a good overview of the A, importance, and B, kind of big span of the topic from infrastructure and device perspective, as well as software perspective, and then in the end, legislation, government role, and so on and so forth. Let's discuss this now, gentlemen. So we have like another 15 minutes to talk about the most kind of urgent things. We also take into consideration the questions from the audience. I have noted down 2 questions so far, so I will build them in. So let's start now for the next 15 minutes. So I would like to better understand again, and this probably goes out. And again, I urge you also to discuss from not just listening to my questions or waiting for my question. You can also jump in and ask your colleague whatever. Yeah, we make it very vivid here now. So my first question probably goes to the tech guys and the infrastructure guys here in this round. So Narinrit, Tanajak. We talked about the infrastructure aspect of 5G, and certainly if you look into the components of modern 5G networks, as of a sudden you have new things like Open RAN and edge computing and hyperscalers coming in like AWS or Microsoft or whoever, Google. So this whole new architecture of 5G, does it also play a role in your cybersecurity activities and how to deal with those different stakeholders in this new infrastructure game of 5G? Maybe Narinrit, you start.
All right, to me, it's more about creating the understanding and collaborations across. Like Henry said, that this is not about the government issue only, but need to do like both, public and private partnership to help, bringing together also the professional in the industries, right? Working together and provide, very first and foremost is the educations. And in order to make everyone understand, so people understand, then they can, come up with the strategies, how to tackle with the, number of issues. They can allocate kind of like the budget, right? And workforce. As we all know that we are lacking of the qualified, cybersecurity manpower in all causes, not just about the telecommunication of 5G that we are talking about, but actually cybersecurity manpower is, always lacking in the global point of view as well, not just only in Thailand, but in global point of view. So we need to work together to help develop, but first and foremost need to, set up some kind of collaborative framework for the stakeholder, anyone that, involved and affected by these revolutions.
Yeah, we probably talk about the government aspect later. Tanajak, so on those new players in the 5G ecosystem, like companies who provide Open RAN, companies who go into edge computing, is that a new kind of frontier compared to 4G, 3G, 2G?
You mean to me, right?
No, sorry, Tanajak.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, Mark, what's the question?
Okay, this question was, if you look into the new setup of 5G infrastructure and you look into edge computing and you look into Open RAN, you have like hyperscalers like Google and Microsoft, which you didn't have before. Before it was 4G, 3G, 2G, you had telcos, maybe some MVNOs. And so is that a new gameplay? Do you as a CISO have new kind of interfaces to new stakeholders when talking about 5G and security?
Yes, definitely. Thanks for the question, Mark. And I think it has become much more relevant each day, and much when we talk about 5G, we talk about interconnectivity, and each device has their device owners. So there's a lot more stakeholders that come into play. as a CISO, one of the things that we have to adapt very quickly is something that I said on the slide. The sheer volume of the network traffic that will be enabled by 5G implementation will be very large. So we have to really prepare, I don't know, IoT gateway, or whether it be SASE, secure access service edge security solution with enough data center. We need to prepare for this sheer amount of high information and volume. And also, just a bit off topic, but I would say like this idea will help the industry as well for the IoT regulation. There have been some recent research about economic incentives for IoT manufacturer really securing their IoT. It could be exemption from some of the revenue tax. It can be whatever. So this one will be very important for stakeholder. I mean, the regulator in Thailand who look at the communication, or who may look at the like a national telecom, they have to start with this, because the change is very quick and we need to adapt very quickly. Thank you.
In that context, there was a question from the audience. Is there an IoT gateway in Thailand already? Is somebody running this? Is it a central one, or do we have multiple IoT gateways? So
far, I haven't heard it yet. Yeah.
But maybe the guy who asked the question can make it a little bit more precise. He asks, or she, how about IoT gateway network in Thailand? So the question probably says kind of, is there something like that? Do we need it, or who would be responsible for this? I don't know whether somebody can jump in here, Narinrit or Tanajak.
I have heard that a NECTEC or NASDA have provide some kind of this kind of service, you know, for the IoT gateway, but I'm not sure so much about on who supposed to provide some kind of regulation or standard in terms of the securities that they need to be complied, or to do the assessment or anything like that to ensure that the security is there for the consumers.
Yeah, so certainly NECTEC, NIA, something like that should take care of this from the political area. Sorry. So Henry, you talked about the big role of governments to take care of resilience and to take care of I don't know, protecting democracies even, on that level. If we talk about not just 5G networks, of course, all kind of cybersecurity issues. Is that pressure on governments now rising due to this global debate on hardware and infrastructure from China versus US and so on and so forth? You know what I mean?
Yes. So first of all, absolutely, and it is a well-known trend that we can see that there is challenges. There is increasing global competition around kind of emerging critical technologies, of which 5G, 6G are one. And I briefly kind of tried to cover that in my speech when I talked about diversification, making sure there's a really healthy lot of supply chain kind of providers who can provide the technology, as well as kind of open RAN, kind of interoperable kind of standards to ensure that, you know, different kind of pieces of kit can work together and they can all talk to each other. So I do think there is a challenge, but I think all governments are challenged by the fact that, you know, cyberspace and the number of interconnected devices within their countries are going to expand exponentially, and working out both how that's going to impact them, as well as also this increasing trend of more critical national infrastructure, such as energy, utilities, government services, also being reliant on 5G, 6G.
So I think if I'm not wrong, UK is part of the Five Eyes initiative, this global kind of those 5 countries who kind of exchange experiences on cybersecurity, but also make sure that maybe friends of those 5 countries are enabled to kind of cope with cybersecurity. So do you, in your role, also consult countries in the Asian region on cybersecurity?
So absolutely. The UK, while obviously the Five Eyes community is an important part of kind of like how we engage, We firmly believe the UK is, we're trying to be a responsible democratic cyber power. And part of my role is very much to engage with all countries, to work out, to listen and understand how to share good practice on developing kind of your telecommunications, your cyberspace, to ensure that kind of open, peaceful and secure, and that people have trust and faith in it, because that's a benefit to the whole world, not just to the country, as well as to UK national security, as it is to Thailand's national security.
Okay. So before we come to the law aspect, to Dr. Sujate, I would like to talk a little bit about the lack of know-how and resources. Somebody of you had a chart where he said, okay, there is a big gap or a lack of experts and so on and so forth. One of our audience members asked the question, hey, what do we do to educate the consumer side? Yeah. So how do we educate consumers on cybersecurity? I don't know who wants to answer or who wants to jump in. Maybe Dr. Sujate. Yeah.
Yes, as I mentioned, that Thailand just have a cybersecurity law, and under this law they have a committee they call National Cybersecurity Committee, and also under that committee they have like a subcommittee to take care of our education and promoting the cybersecurity and many things in different level in terms of consumer or in terms of technical also. I heard that they just set up this committee. This committee is under Ministry of Digital Economy and Social something, Ministry of DES. So this will be the committee who respond for this.
Okay, got you. Interesting. And thanks for sharing the kind of overarching kind of placement of where cybersecurity sits in criminal law and public law and so on and so forth. This was very valuable. I would like to, Tanajak, I would like to better understand this network slicing piece again. This is also new to let's say the whole mobile environment. I think from 5G onwards, let's explain this in easy words for myself. So if I would run a BMW plant in Thailand and I would have a campus network and I have like 1,000 robots working for me, I could get a slice from an operator just for that campus, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
And then how do I then protect this specific slice?
Yep. So the protection of those slides will be as someone who used the slides, we will not be able to, protect it. Just make sure that the device within your slides, within your network slides are secure. But what I mean is the implementation or the virtualization software, that is very difficult. So first thing that we have to understand is that the network slicing is using the two technologies, something called the SDN or software defined networking, and also the NFV, which is network functions virtualization. The main vulnerability in research paper that manifests a lot of threat is the network function virtualization. This is something that the virtualization software manufacturer have to test a lot, especially have to do a lot of tests on buffer or the memory part of it, because that's where a lot of things that can manifest. As someone who are the user of it, just what we can do is just to make sure that every device is has strong authentication mechanism and has don't use default password, basic cybersecurity hygiene. But as someone who is a virtual mobile network operator, they have to really do the fuzzing test of this one to make sure that it is secure. Yeah.
So and then now more down to the one-to-one relation. Narinrit, you showcased this case that somebody put himself as man in the middle in between one subscriber and the base station, right?
Right.
And Henry said, hey, the telcos are kind of the heartbeat in this whole game. So is that, it's one thing that a white hat can do this, as a man in the middle, but is that a potential threat for a nation like Thailand or a region like SEA? Given the fact that I think Tanajak said you have like 500,000 CTE devices in your market. So is that a potential threat for many people or just individual?
I mean, it depends about the applications of this kind of like activities, right? So, but the thing is that to show that this kind of thing is possible, to have like what they call like fake base station, right? Which is, these kind of problems already exist since, the old day. 3G, 4G have it, and 5G you still have it, right? So it needs more. So that's about is the issue that the one who developed the applications that are going to run over on top of the 5G infrastructure need to take this into considerations, that they cannot just do anything and rely on the security of the infrastructure itself. So they also need to think about the security features on the different layers of the application as well, not just on the infrastructure itself, right?
Yeah, and maybe with 5G, and I think Tanajak said it, there are this billion of possibilities to breach because you have these super connected IoT devices, and that subscriber could also be an IoT device. Yeah. And so an IoT device talking to a fake base station, that's a threat. Yeah.
Right. So as I mentioned, it depends on the application of this kind of activities. If it's used to target the individual, so it's the individual threat. But if it be used for the higher or larger scales of the attack, so it would be even higher chaos.
Yeah. And so, Henry, how do you work together with telcos in your day-to-day job? So do you advise them? Do you, I don't know, are you looking into consulting even services?
So, well, in my day-to-day job, obviously as an international, it's a bit different. But in the UK, absolutely, we use the whole of cyber ecosystem approach. And like government, our National Cybersecurity Centre works very, very closely with our telcos, with our cyber industry, to make sure that we have the right standards, the right protection in place. And again, we look at the wider risk. What is the risk that's going to happen? And then we mitigate against it to make sure that the kit's secure, that we have the trust and safety, and that it's also future-proofed. So absolutely, it's about working together. Government cannot do this alone. We have to do it with industry.
And so maybe last questions for today. So Dr. Sujate, you talked about the Cybersecurity Act, which is in place now in Thailand since 2019. One thing is to have this act. Do you think that people and government and companies are living towards this act? So is it already kind of established, or is it still kind of vague, and there needs to be much of education towards that act?
I think people in the field already know about this act, but they need to have more activities to encourage and educate people in terms of both technical and consumer use to protect our people. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So thank you. I think we came to an end. Thank you for this panel. So only men's panel. Yeah. Next time we need to get women on board. There is a huge global kind of wave of women in cyber security. Yeah. So it's probably our fault. We need to get women on stage here. But thank you again for your time this afternoon. Saying hello to Southeast Asia. So I will continue now with some 2-3 final charts on the program. So as you just learned that cybersecurity is a huge topic in 5G, we would ask you to consider to be part of our Beyond Mobile event in September. There we will not just cover cybersecurity, but also all impact of 5G on businesses. So we look into healthcare, we look into biotech, we look into agriculture, smart cities, smart mobility, smart factories. So if you think that is something for you, you can reach out to us. You can still apply for speaking. You can still apply for exhibiting. You can still apply for partnering with us. And the event is in almost 4 months from now, so September 28 to 29. So please get in touch with Marty. Thank you very much. This was our almost 1.5 hours on 5G and cybersecurity. My name is Mark. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and hopefully to see you in Bangkok in September. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.